What up? Hey, what up, dog? What up? Hey, what up, dog? What up? Hey, what up, dog? What up? Hey, what up, dog?
What up, Dope Pride Nation? Welcome to Luke G's Field Review. Today we're back at it, this time with a breakdown for the pro day visits that I would like to see the Lions go through, as well as the history. So as you can see right here, we are already locked and loaded to kind of discuss what has been the pattern and the trends of the Detroit Lions. Now, I said in a previous video where I broke down Bob Quinn's code, that Bob Quinn tends to favor certain conferences more so than others. And those conferences are Big Ten, SEC, and Pac-12. So it appears that he's looking at those conferences. So right here, what you are looking at is 2018's visits that we knew of that the Detroit Lions made last year. And as you can see, they went after Jeremiah Brosco. They visited with him. And so this is an odd one right here, because this tells me that they were looking for a late round pick, somewhere in the 6th to 7th round, to try to see if they can fill that position, because this does not fit the usual conferences that they go to. Now, what I did realize was that there are certain rounds, particularly the 3rd and 4th round, that he likes to pick up those small school guys. So right here you see they visit with Sonny Michel, they visit with Nick Chubb, and they visit with Darius Geis, all SEC guys. Yes, you know they did visit with Kerryon Johnson, and we drafted Kerryon Johnson in the 2nd round, another SEC guy. Then we get down here to Western Michigan, and you see a fullback, which they did not draft, but they did draft a fullback from San Diego State who ended up getting hurt, unfortunately. But again, this is another one of those picks that you could tell was going to be a later round, and it still fits that conference that they like to take in the later round. They also looked at a wide receiver, Brandon Bean from Grand Valley State, Keith Kirkwood from Temple, Davin Gray from Cincinnati, Traquan Smith from Central Florida. Now you may be wondering, what's the importance of me showing you this, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the answer is more simple than you think. Doing my research, I discovered that last year they visited with 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 1 fullback, 8 wide receivers, 8 tight ends, 3 offensive linemen, 6 defensive linemen, 6 defensive ends, 6 defensive tackles, 3 linebackers, 4 cornerbacks, and 4 safeties. Now, again, this is 2018, all right? And so I'm just showing you some of the names of the notable pro day visits that they went to. And so I'm looking at some of the names of the people that they was targeting, and you can almost figure out the schools. Now, I'm showing you this because I'm going to show you soon what the other pro days are going to look like. And the reason I'm going to show you that is because I want you to be able to see these patterns, okay? And so I'm just going through letting you see some of the names on this list so you can kind of have an idea of what they did. Now imagine this, ladies and gentlemen, that the Darius Leonard was on their watch list. So the Detroit Lions are one of the handful of teams that seem to like Leonard as a sleeper prospect in this draft and put him through film session at his pro day. And so this shows you that our front office is not the same old Lions. This shows you that they're looking at every possible avenue to get better, and you can just tell by the players that they're targeting. So just keep this in mind, and I want you to take a hard look at this, because there are people on here like Justin Reed who is doing really well, that we don't talk about. Now, here's where things are going to get real interesting. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's at this point that I'm going to go through and do some more breakdown in terms of the visits that we know that they've already have had, or at least the players that they've met with at this point for 2019. So for 2019, I just wanted to bring it to your attention of the players that they have already, met with thus far. And all the names are not on here. So we're going to take a quick look at 2019 prospects that the Detroit Lions have already had a meeting with and have already been known to want to go and check out those pro days. As you can see, there's some notable names on here that you guys, the fans, have made it very known that you would be very interested in taking. And there's some names on here, some people that I most certainly would be interested in taking a look at. As you can see, you have people like Nasser Adderley from Delaware. Okay. You have Josh Allen on this list. You have Nick Bosa on this list. I'm not too familiar with Malik Carney. I don't know. The name rings a bell, but I'm drawing a blank on him at this moment. Now they visit with Noah Fant. They visit with Dwayne Haskins. They visit with Tyree Jackson, and I think I've been pushing the Tyree Jackson thing on you guys for a while because I felt that he could be a 5th to 6th round pick, depending on how people view him and what they may be interested in acquiring to get him. So then you look at people like Josh Miles, Kyler Murray. Now let me just be clear, ladies and gentlemen, the reason that they do their homework on Kyler Murray is for 2 reasons. One is if he do fall there, they feel confident enough to take him. I mean, I doubt that they would, but it makes it so other teams take them serious when they say, hey, we're going to take a quarterback if one is there that we like. So if he falls in their spot, it makes teams think like, oh God, Detroit is in there to take a quarterback. Let me trade with them or trade up to get ahead of them. So it helps in the trade department. But they also met with Isaac Natula from Georgia, Ed Oliver from Houston, Charles, I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try to attempt it, from Texas, Caden Smith, and Sonia Takaki. Yeah, you get the point. All right. So, what I want you to do is, ladies and gentlemen, I want this list to stay up here because I want you to be able to do some homework. And again, I preach too often this term, do your research, okay? Don't be no chump, do your research. And what you're going to see here is there are some schools in this pattern that stands out. Big Ten schools, SEC schools, MAC schools. That should tell you that the formula that I figured out is still holding true at this point. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to dive deeper into it, and we're going to dive deeper into it a little bit more based on the pro days that are coming up in the coming weeks. So, just take a hard look at this and pay close attention to the not the player's name, but the positions in the school. And what you want to do is you want to figure out what those schools' conferences are in. And the reason you want to do that is because based on last year's history, they got 2 offensive linemen, but they visit with 4 offensive linemen that whole year. They got a running back and they visit with 4 running backs that year. So where you start to see numbers get highlight, wide receivers, they'll visit with 8 wide receivers, they visit with 8 tight ends. When you start to see those high numbers, you need to start to think that, okay, they're doing their homework, but it's those lower numbers that you should really reel in on in terms of position to see how the Lions are going to draft. So let's get into the upcoming pro days. All right, so here's where we stand right now. What you're going to notice is that all these pro days are listed under the Eastern time zone. And you're going to notice that I got some things highlighted. You're going to see this little chart that I have here because these are players that I have a particular interest in, that I think fits what the Detroit Lions are trying to do and who they're trying to go after. Now, I'm not going to be able to do film study on all these players, Again, I do work that 9 to 5. So let's get right into this, so it's not this long of a video. So, as of right now, March 5th has come and gone. And on March 5th, you had Miami of Ohio and Purdue have their pro day. Now, Purdue does have a defensive tackle there named Lorenzo Neal, who could be a interesting prospect in the later rounds. He seems to have a little bit of that Nick Fairley pass rush run stopping ability. So, okay. But this receiver who stands 6'4", James Gardner, stands out the most because he runs good routes. He's got a big body, and he does not mind playing the slot. So, as you can see, these types of things jump out to me. Now, March 6th, the Cincinnati, Colorado State, Kansas State, and Northern Illinois had their pro day. And I'm not saying that that any of this is factual in terms of saying that I know that the Lions are going to these places. The highlighted ones are just the ones that I hope the Lions go to. I'm pretty sure some of you wouldn't mind seeing some players from some of these schools, and I can assure you I know that there are some players in here, but those schools, I haven't really hit on a lot of those players to be focused on them. But today is March 7th, okay? And today you have Alabama-Birmingham and Nebraska's pro day, as well as Samford's. And I really hope that the Detroit Lions go to Nebraska, because I just dropped a video about Nebraska's running back Devin Ozigbo, and I believe that if the Lions are there, that's a good sign that he could be a Detroit Lion. Now, March 8th, you're going to see Maine and New Mexico. And I don't have anything highlighted here, and it's not that I don't think that there's no talent there. It's just that in terms of me getting the most appropriate talent based on need, I'm going by those schools. In the case here, you will see for March 11th that I have Arkansas. And the reason I have Arkansas highlighted is because they have quite a few linemen that I like, that I think that would be interesting. Now, you have some people here, Austin, Peay, Illinois, Middle Tennessee. You have these different schools. But I just want to show you guys the upcoming schedule and point out schools that stand out to me that I really hope that we go to. March 12th is a day that I'm definitely going to be paying close attention to, because New Mexico State has their pro day. And what I want to see from this particular school is Terrell Hanks. Vanderbilt has their pro day as well, and they have a cornerback. I think his name is Joejuan Williams. I believe is how you pronounce it, Joejuan. And that's another player I have an interest in terms of what the Lions want to do. Now, this is the day that I'm waiting on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, March 13th, Buffalo has their pro day. And the players that I am very intrigued to see is quarterback Tyreek Jackson, linebacker Khalil Hodge, wide receiver Anthony Johnson. If you've been with this channel from the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, you know that I have a healthy love for Khalil Hodge. He is a player that I believe is the real deal and will be a steal of this draft. But the things that I want to point out in particular about my picks are they all fit the popular conferences that Bob Quinn has shown to favor. So you're not going to see me putting too many conferences in there that does not fit the pattern that Bob Quinn has shown that he likes to draft from. You will see that I have Wisconsin highlighted for March 13th as well. And the reason for that is because Wisconsin has TJ Edwards, who I want to see, and they also have a offensive guard and center that I'm intrigued with. So just to give you a few notable ones. Now, on March 15th, you will notice that Michigan has his pro day, and I have them in red. And the reason I have them in red is because I do not want to hear about the Detroit Lions doing any pro day visits with the University of Michigan. And the reason I do not want that is because you're here in Michigan. You have an inside track to watch every Michigan game. You can literally send people just off your staff to just go to the game and watch the game and come back and report to you. There's no need to waste a visit on a team that's in your backyard. So I know that they have Winovich on this team. I know that they got Higdon, and they got Long, and a number of players that, you know, a lot of you fans will like. But it doesn't make sense to me to waste energy when they're in your backyard. Michigan State is on that list as well. Okay, March 19th. I should have highlighted this, but it goes without saying that Alabama always is going to produce some talent. I'm pretty sure the Lions are going to have some people there. I didn't feel the need to highlight it and list all the names of people that they will be looking at, but they tend to favor Alabama players. I mean, just facts. But Louisiana Tech. And the reason Louisiana Tech is highlighted for me is because Jalen Ferguson was not invited to the combine, and I really want to see what he do on the bench press. I can care less about his 40. It's more so how strong he is, in my opinion. And I'm interested in him. Now, Georgia, who is an SEC team, is on my list because Georgia has quite a few people that I'm particularly interested in. And I would definitely love to see the Detroit Lions make a visit there again. As we can see in 2018, they spent a lot of time there looking at a number of players. And already this year, they've looked at their tight end. So hopefully they go there and take a look at maybe some running backs, maybe look at DeAndre Baker at corner. Nonetheless, they need to be at that pro day. In essence, this is the current schedule for the 2019 Pro Day. And, you know, I want you guys to tell me, who do you want to see the Detroit Lions going to take a Pro Day look at? Again, my list and my wants were based off of the formula that he picks from certain conferences and based on how he does his visits. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. And as always, don't be no chump. Please do your research.